What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Waste World Podcast. I'm your host, Gage Edwards, and today we are talking about one of the most persistent and dangerous challenges in the waste and recycling industry, facility fires. My guest today is Ryan Fogelman, Vice President of Strategic Partnerships for Fire Rover. Ryan has spent nearly a decade compiling monthly and annual fire reports for our industry, tracking trends, speaking directly with operators, firefighters, and innovators about how to keep people and facilities safe. His work bridges data, technology, and real-world prevention. In this episode, we're going to go over why vapes are such a growing problem, the rise of facility fires, what his July fire report tells us about the months ahead, and how the industry can work more effectively with fire departments before disaster strikes. Enjoy! Ryan Fogelman is a JD, MBA, and Vice President of Strategic Partnerships at Fire Rover, where he is focused on bringing innovative safety solutions to the market. Two of his projects have won Edison Innovation Awards, and since 2016, he's been publishing the Reported Waste and Recycling Facility Fire in the US and Canada, and the industry's annual fire report, which you can read on waste360.com. He's a sought-after speaker on detection, prevention, and the realities of the industry for fire safety. Ryan, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm doing great, Gage. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. I think we're talking at a pretty interesting time for fire prevention and safety, and especially for vapes, which I had a few articles come up on Waste 360 this week that were vape related. So I think this is a very pertinent time to catch up with you. And of course, we just had the July fire report go out not too long ago. So I'm happy to have you here today and to share more of what's happening in the industry, especially in 2025 for fires and the problematic devices that we see in our waste streams.
100%. And I mean, I'll tell you, it's interesting because I came out with my last year's annual report, which was I do it every year. I did my eighth one, and really that was when I kind of said we are at war with vapes. And we are getting a lot of attention around it, which I think is good. So as long as it's positive attention, I'm all good for it, right? So I will. I mean, I can explain to you the phenomenon, and we can get into that, as you see fit.
Yeah. We're definitely in a vape apocalypse, which we will get to throughout the show here. But first, I
Nice.
want to just, for anyone who might not know who you are at home and our first time listeners, can you give me a little bit more about your background and what you've got going on and why you're such a, I'll say, force of industry to talk about this topic?
Well, okay. That's a very broad question. I think I appreciate it. I don't know that I take force as a word, but I think persistent is probably, the way we look at it. And again, not to get into too much info. I mean, I or too much of a background, but yes, I have a law degree, I have an MBA. I've been in sales my whole life. And then marketing for me is really trying to drive leads, trying to understand, how you take content, create it, and, turn it into lead generation. So that wasn't why I started doing all this for fire, though. I mean, the reality was in 15, we started this business in the back of a scrap metal facility. And when I say we started it, Jeremy, Brad, and Pete started this business. They built the first Fire Rover. I was the first employee that worked for the company. And again, I also owned a digital marketing company and a lead generation company at the time. So we started getting into this, and then, it just really started to, rear its ugly head, right? So we're talking about vapes today. In 2016, 17, I was warning everybody that there was a lithium-ion battery wave that was about to hit the industry, from all the things that we were seeing on the front lines, and little by little it hit. So then people didn't think I was crazy insane by 2018, right? And then we really worked through, prove that our solution worked and alleviated the fire problem, or at least, alleviated it to a 99 whatever percent value. And then we were able to get it approved. So from a fire industry perspective, we were able to take that and actually get our FM approval, which was kind of the next 5 years, and we scaled the business. So now we're protecting 850 waste recyclers, rubber. I mean, we do all different types of recycling, scrap metal, across 3 continents. And we're really in the fire protection industry, but the reality is that I live waste and recycling every single day, just by all the reporting that I'm doing and all the fires that we see on the front lines that I can share those with everybody. Um, and just to give you, I know I'm going on a little bit, but I will share with you this month where you're publishing in this month's annual report or this month's monthly report. I'll be publishing Fire Rover's 3.5 year performance report, which I'll share with you today as well, and all the numbers.
Excellent. Cool. Well, yeah, let's just jump into some of that right now. Let's look at 25. So this recap the first half of 2025, it seems like those first 4 months and even where we're getting into now have been pretty challenging. Why do you think it's been such a challenging year? And for anyone listening at home or listening on the audio podcast, there's a video component of this too. Make sure you go to the YouTube page and we'll have some slides you can look at, of course, our beautiful faces.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I mean, I definitely, I'll say Gage is definitely better looking than me, but
Well, I appreciate that.
so here we go. All right, so these are our numbers, right? And again, like we're about to have, like I didn't plan this, like, this is breaking news on,
Ooh.
on Waste 360, but basically we had 56 fire events. So like in May, we actually had like the lowest May we've ever had, and like June was kind of like basically a little bit below average. And like the first 4 months of this year, we were trending crazy. Well,
Mm-hmm.
this goes down, and then all of a sudden, this month we have 56. So when I go back and we start looking at this, it's like, okay, I broke this out in the article, but really 2024 was when we saw the most amount of fires. 2025, we're basically only five behind. And again, when 2024, we saw a significant increase. And so this is really, if we go in and if we look at years, right, this was
Mm-hmm.
what I would call this is when I started warning folks that, hey, batteries were coming, because what was happening is we were getting a lot more end of life batteries that were really getting in the waste and recycling stream, and nobody knew what was going on here.
Yeah.
Here we really got back into like best practice. I mean, I would say that the waste and recycling industry in the United States is probably one of the most fire forward, safety focused in the world. And honestly, like we can prove it by the numbers in the US, how we've been doing. But what happened was I started seeing fires go up again, because honestly, I was ready to stop. Right. I'm like, why am I
But we
doing
figured
this?
it
Like,
out. Yeah.
well, yeah, we figured it out. We're going back down now. There's 10,000 locations, in the United States, and we're protecting, 7.5% of them,
Mm-hmm.
and we're seeing fires increase, right? So like, so I started looking at it, and like the first 6 years here, we were basically saying we had 326 on average, like fire events, and then literally we're up 19% by the average of 22, 23, and 24, and it looks like 25 is going to come in. And basically I started looking at like what did I think was happening, and Altria in their K1 came out and said that in 2020, and I break this out in my annual report, um but and I also do a fire safety report, so anyone more than happy to follow or subscribe on LinkedIn. But the basically the idea was that we're starting to see more and more of these fires, and we're putting out more and more and protecting more facilities. We know these aren't ours.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really the big kind of question. What was it? And that K1 had said that adult men 18 and over who were smokers, 6 million had transitioned between 22 and 24 towards vapes.
Okay.
And then you start to look at vapes, and there's nowhere to put vapes, right? I mean, like the reality is, I think Batteries Plus now is saying that they will take them, and I believe that they will. Like they'll take damaged batteries, but they're the only ones in the United States that I've seen from a retail brick and mortar do that. So, hopefully this will start to take the relief. But the reality is, anyone who's smoking vapes have nowhere to put them, so they throw them in their waste, right? I mean, would you rather them throw it on the floor, right? Like there's no, and we're talking billions.
Yeah, yeah, and that is it's an epidemic in itself. And like, yeah, I was doing some research on the UK government, who's they're banning single-use disposable vapes, and now they're putting them in their own category. So now the producers are paying for the cost of recycling them, but still, it's still a matter of where to put them. And even in your article, you say you don't think we should ban them outright, but we should have more infrastructure for the vapes.
Yeah, I personally do not think, and again, it's like, it might not be politically correct, but a lot of folks, like, so my report's used in a lot of government basically requests, right? I call them
Hmm.
because I mean the reality is you have 700,000 firefighters in this country or 1.2 million firefighters, 700,000 are volunteer. So the reality is that that fire department is not trained on batteries. And if they
Hmm.
are, they spend less than 2% on training. So if that fire department is trained on batteries, they're trained more on car batteries, EV batteries, right? Like, how do you deal with the accidents on the side of the road? They're not dealing with like scooters and like these personal storage or personal electronics, the Apple earbuds that I'm wearing. Like, they're not dealing with those types of hazards. So, really, like, there's really a disconnect of what you can do, and now you have nowhere to recycle them. So they're just basically falling into the waste and recycling operator's lap. And my feeling is that the the manufacturers should be paying for the problems they're causing, not from a punitive perspective, right? Like, I don't think that the manufacturers are bad. Like, they're giving us exactly what we want. But the reality is that because there's a cost from an economic perspective, they should be helping the waste and recycling industry pay for it.
Yeah.
And then we also have to make sure that that money goes to the firefighters and to fire systems like ours that are actually working versus just doing education, which is pointless if you don't have a way to pick it up and bring it to the recycler, right? And
Hmm.
again, I know there are ways, but not an efficient way, right? So that's really what I'm pushing for. I want more convenient locations for people to drop off any battery that is safe and convenient and then can be recycled like correctly. Then to me, that's the answer, right? So how do we do that?
Do you also think it might be a marketing thing, calling them disposable vapes? Like disposable wipes, think people you can think of, you can flush them, but now with a disposable vape, like, oh, I must be able to just throw this away in my normal trash.
Oh, 100%. I mean, did you see like the one article I put out 2 months ago? I mean, literally you walk in and it basically says like it's a daily use. So
Yeah.
a daily use cigarette. Like, I mean, so basically you're throwing away a battery every day, 365 days. And like what's crazy, this is why I don't believe that you should that like replacing. So basically, if you look in the UK and you're reading through that stuff, I've read through all the same articles and I have a lot of
Hmm.
friends over there, and like they're basically saying that like they created new versions that were basically disposable, non-disposable vapes,
Yeah.
like like the day that they were supposed to come out. So you haven't changed anything. You're hoping that people buy less of the non-disposable cheap ones, but now they're non-disposable, but they're cheap. So really what these things are is like non-reusable. And they are single-use vapes. So
Yeah.
that's the reality. You got to call them what they are, and changing what that is doesn't change the problem. The UK, in my mind, I mean, what they needed to do was, you either got to create a value of it or somehow you got to slow down your sorting so that you can remove them.
Right.
And the only way to do that is to put it, I mean, only way to do it. One of the ways is a deposit scheme. There's other ways to do it, but also on something like this, it's not going to stop. So why don't we figure out a solution that basically takes you to, this is where I bring our solution in. It's like, you know, we basically are 99 point whatever chances that you're not going to have a major catastrophic fire with a system like ours, right? And again, when I say like ours, we're the only system in the world where FM approved. So
Hmm.
this is where I think the waste and recycling industry, we were fortunate and they were fortunate that like this, what we're trying to do is change the way industrial fires are fought on a global scale, industrial and outdoors, not waste and recycling. But waste and recycling has been the beneficiary of it because we've actually almost solved it for most of our customers. There's still a fight, but we're at least not having the disastrous effects that we were having in 15, 16, 17. If you're fortunate to be able to afford to invest in this.
Yeah, and something else you put in your article, which I thought was really good to know, is like when the more these rules that break down for vapes, it's just the more loopholes that are created for the producers, right? So so a side by side comparison of your picture was here's a vape, here's a vape. They're exactly the same, they look exactly the same, but the new vape is now chargeable,
Right.
not banned. So now it just becomes another thing that they're just like, all right, we'll just move into this one, and we still have these vapes exist.
And you're still going to throw it away,
Yep,
right?
still gonna
Because
end up in the same
and
spot.
yeah, you end up at the same spot and you're going to have cheaper alternatives. So again, what do I know? I mean, I know in California they were trying to get something like this passed, and the rationale was that um, that this is something that they can get done.
Hmm.
And again, like I look at our government and I say do better, right? Like, I mean, listen, I'm a capitalist. I fully believe in free markets. I fully believe in like the free hand of markets. But, and I believe there are times when you should have regulation, but we shouldn't be trying to push something through because it doesn't make a lot of other people angry. We need to do the thing that is right, which is why do I have, injuries to firefighters? Why do I have, injuries to employees? Why do I have to deal with all these things on the front lines? Because the public doesn't know how to or have the option to dispose of it. So can't someone solve the problem of finding a way to at least, like, think about it this way, right? Like, remember when people were smoking cigarettes 70
Sure.
years ago? There was literally an ashtray in every single thing that we had, furniture,
Hmm.
this, that, whatever. Like, you could literally build one of these on every single corner, make it out of concrete, throw your stuff in there, and into a metal, a metal box, and it's a safe container that it can explode. No one would be mad, right? Like,
Hmm.
so, I mean, there is a way to solve it. It's just nobody wants to spend the money to do it.
Yeah, and I think that becomes the thing. Is like, yeah, we know this is a problem. We can only fix it with money, and we don't really want to spend that money. So, like in that vein, I guess, where do you see like EPR coming into play with vapes?
I mean, and again, like they pay a lot of people smarter than me to figure out EPR. I
Yeah.
mean, like, right. And that's what I always say. I'm like, you can use my report for whatever issue you're trying to prove. But
Right.
like the reality is like, I'm always like, please, if you're going to get, $10 million budget for education, please take 2 million of it and earmark it for the fire department to
Hmm.
train them on how to fight these fires, right? Or to give them the proper equipment to fight the fires, or to give the like, again, it's a municipality. I mean, we do 100 municipalities, right? So like we do a ton, like there's grants and loans for everything. I mean, this is, I think, in everyone's best interest that we don't lose our capacity to basically process our trash and recycling. But again, I think that's where I would put it. But it's like I'm so far down the totem pole that I tell you, like I'm begging for them to give money to the fire department, right? Like I'm like, please include me, even though here's my report with all my data, it's free. Now AI is doing it. And I mean, if you're like, they're basically spitting out my data with no credit to us, or,
Right.
or no credit to myself. So it's like, you start to look at it and it's like the only thing I can do is ask, and hope that, again, the fire department funding issue is a huge issue that I don't know that anyone can tackle,
Hmm.
especially, battery producers. But again, every little bit helps, so.
Yeah, it's interesting. Actually, I'm building a house right now, and I was filling out my homeowner's insurance, and they're like, "Do you have a fire hydrant near your house?" I said, "I do." They're like, "Is your fire department nearby volunteer, or are they on staff?" I was like, "Ooh, they're volunteer." That makes me think a little further about what's going on here. And Ryan, if I had the money, I would give it to you. I would help you help out firefighters, because I feel like education doesn't just start at a consumer level. It goes beyond that to the people who are actually attacking the fires, or you know making sure the mess is cleaned up. Like, education is for everyone, not just someone who's using the vape.
No, 100%. And I think again, like I mean, it really from a waste and recycling perspective, usually I just look at it from a contamination, right? Like
Mhm.
it really is, whether it's batteries. I mean, half these fires that we see are battery fires, right? That's like it's not, I mean, it's not all of them. There's a lot of
Right.
accelerants, there's a lot of other things, and I mean, I can go through videos if you want to look through some of those. But I mean, the reality is we're going to put out 440 fires on the front lines this year alone, right?
Yeah.
And again, that's usually we're looking at basically like over an event per system per year, which again, like the real small stuff gets taken care of like just by a loader or by just random, like easy stuff. So I think the reality is that we're all kind of in this fight together. We got to figure it out. And I think contamination is the issue. And I think ultimately between you and I, what's going to end up happening is that you're going to have like x-rays that are x-raying all material that's coming into buildings and out of buildings. But even if you have that, you still have, like, what do you do when you still have 1,000, batteries in every single load? You
Right.
have to process it, right? Like, if not, you can't, be scared and just stop. So, at a certain point, I'm sure contamination, not just from a safety perspective, what will drive it, in my opinion, is the commercialization of wanting to know that the material that you're buying or selling is of a certain characteristic.
Yeah. And like you said, you can't just stop. That stuff has to go somewhere regardless. Someone used it. There is a way out of it, right? All right.
and it shouldn't go in a landfill.
It should not go in a landfill.
And I also believe, sorry, I don't mean,
Go ahead.
I believe that reverse landfilling is the future, right? And again, they're doing it in like Sweden and some other places. So at some point when we get really good at recycling, the beauty is that we can go back into our landfills and basically like take all of the like and put break everything up and actually, use it again. So
Mhm.
that, I mean, obviously we're talking maybe a decade to it, but I mean people are doing it today.
Yeah.
So it's
That
money.
I think that's for some people they would hear that and be like, that's a pipe dream. But like, hey, it can happen. Like we're right there. It's happening in places now. Let's
It
kind of
is
get on the
happening
train.
now.
All
It
right.
is happening now.
Other key takeaways from July's fire report. Let's catch up. Let's catch up here with some of the listeners who may have missed it.
So my July, okay, so again, I'm gonna give you more of, I'm gonna give you more of like the
Sure.
big pieces of what I did, right? And again,
And to
really I
remind the
did
listeners, you can go to YouTube and you can check this out. Also, waste360.com. Check out Ryan's column.
100%. And again, please go to Waste 360. I know I'm gonna say LinkedIn too, but I mean at the
Yeah,
same
go to
time,
LinkedIn also. Yeah.
I always post everybody's stuff on all stuff. But yeah, no, that's really the big update for July was that we
Okay.
had 56 fires and that we're really looking at, you know, at a certain point, looking at it every month is kind of hard to do. I think, the one thing that I will say to people, and like when I always say waste and recycling, and I don't think people truly understand what that is. Like they think it's just MSW, but
Mm-hmm.
like and NWRA came out with a study where like Michael Timpain, I actually work with him to help him with like the back end information because he was looking at it from a single stream MRF, and he estimated 5,000 fires a year just in single stream MRFs, and I believe it was like 40 catastrophic losses a year.
Wow.
Now again, like I look at it and I break everything down by waste paper, plastic, and then also by metals. And the reason I do that is because I think education, as we were discussing before, is really it's a big piece as the public, but another, curbsides, it's a hair on like a gnat's butt, right? Like the reality is that the real recycling is all of the metals that don't metals in construction demolition. And that's really educating businesses not to contaminate, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
to process like properly pre-process or post-process on the way that they're supposed to do it. So I really truly do break these up. That's why waste paper plastic's always the same. But like we are seeing growing numbers in literally all areas, right? So, organics is wood and others, chemicals is our hazard material, and we protect a ton of hazard material facilities, construction demolition. These aren't always, sometimes they get put in here because honestly, it's very like a lot of times people don't understand reporters, so they don't understand what they're talking through, or like they don't know that it's a scrap versus rubber or that type of thing. But like, e-scrap's pretty, I mean, everyone knows if it's a battery recycler or a battery manufacturer, but
Right.
again, so all those different breakdowns. And again, I only report reported fires. That's where I get my number. I know it's small, but the reality is that like Mike's saying 5,000 fires. I mean, I'm looking at 430 last year of
Mm-hmm.
reported fires, which are typically the larger fires, right? Typically the ones that get reported in the media. And again, we have 6 more months or 5 more months, and we're going to figure out, what's going to happen. But it doesn't change the fact that the solution to the problem is education, both of consumers and public, and then or public and commercial. It's technological innovations, and it's best practices. And knock on wood, most of the waste and recycling operators I've seen in the U.S. have really done a good job cleaning up their, um, like just getting their act together since 2015, 16, before this was such a big problem.
Yeah. Now, looking into your crystal ball, do you think that 25 comes in over 24 in terms of reported fires?
I
It
mean,
looks like it's
honestly,
trending that way, but
yeah, I mean, and honestly, I don't know. It's almost insane, right? Because I wouldn't have thought that like we had the highest fires we've ever had the first 4 months of this year.
yeah.
So I really like, and again, when we go down to like what are the issues? I mean, the hazards are an issue.
Mm-hmm.
Our summertime spike, it typically starts, it was getting earlier and earlier every year, but hot and dry environments, like so when it's really hot, like I'll see in the last 3 days at Fire Rover, we put out 15 fires.
Wow.
It's insane, right? Because so we can actually, so I kind of know from looking at the fire incidences we have in house versus what I'm seeing publicly, but I don't marry that data together. I marry the data together later. So like what I'll do is I'll look at something like this because this is, here's our saves, right? Or how many we responded to.
Hmm.
This year we are on pace to be here. Publicly reported fires. Again, I have it estimated from 15 or 25 at 60, so we'll see where it comes.
Sure.
But really, we should have more known fire incidences, but less catastrophic fire incidences because the catastrophic are what's really killing us. And, Mike says 40 just MSW. I mean, I'm seeing of those 460 or 430, like I'm seeing, 15 to 20% of those are catastrophic, which means they're over 400,000 in damage or more.
Yeah. And I think the unfortunate part is with, the hot weather and stuff, fires may still happen anyway if you're perfect on your batteries and stuff. But as long as you can kind of mitigate those catastrophic incidences, we're still winning, right? We're still getting ahead of the problem.
100%. And that's there's a lot of guys out there that sell early detection, and it's not about early detection. It's about early detection and getting like suppression on it as fast as possible
Yeah.
before it has a chance to do anything else, right? Like, I mean, like I'll show you some videos because these are
Sure.
fun. I mean, I don't know if I've ever like shown you videos up front, but
I love a
um
demonstration.
oh, really? Okay. Well, this is a live demonstration. I just have to find
All
a good
right.
one.
Reminder
All
everyone
right,
you can watch these
what do you
over
want
on
to
YouTube.
see? Which one do you want to see? You want to see
Uh,
a
yeah. I mean, pick your poison. This one looks good. That second one you were looking at there.
this one?
Yeah.
Batteries. Okay, so this is button batteries. This is a battery recycler. And so this is about 18 minutes. But really, when we're fighting batteries, we're not spraying the actual site, we're spraying the collateral assets.
Hmm.
So again, you're going to see like our humans look, verify, call fire department, get them on scene. We're actually using an encapsulator agent, which is like an 18A encapsulator agent on the outside to help cool it. And then they're using one of our cap systems initially. And then, I mean, obviously now they're just using
Okay.
water. Um, but like let's go through like something like this one. So this one right here. So this
Okay.
is a scooter battery. And I don't know if you've seen this one before, but basically it drives over a battery. And this is where I get nervous, right? Because it's like, you end up getting shrapnel, you end up getting like projectiles. It started five
Hmm.
fires on this
Oh
pile,
wow.
right? And we're going to hit all five. So my operator goes in, looks, verifies, goes in, shoots, goes to the next one, shoots. They're holding water because we have two types of solutions. One's with the box and one is continuous flow. It's like it has unlimited water because we're
Hmm.
using water from the municipality or well. But, so the idea again, do you want your guys in here fighting this or would you prefer it be us, right? And that white
Right.
smoke that you see is typically it's toxic fumes, right? So like Eric Frederickson and I I was fortunate enough to stand in for Jerry Sogren, for one of these events that we were doing a live lithium-ion battery burn at, one of the large, like at REMA. And
Hmm.
so Eric Frederickson from Call to Recycle, he made a comment. He's like, one vape has 2 gallons of toxic fumes.
Yeah.
And again, when you hear that pop is actually supposed to happen because it's the venting. So that's so that you don't get all the shrapnel and it doesn't just explode. So it gives it, basically a place to release from, safely in if like lack of a better term. But this is why, you have a minute to get away from a fire. And again, in your home, like just you have to evacuate. There's no fighting these fires, right?
Yeah.
Like evacuate and just try if you're ever doing, powering stuff, just make sure you leave it in an area that you hope doesn't have other collateral material that's going to burn, because that's literally what is causing most of these fires. It's something else that it starts.
Yeah. I always think like in these videos always remind me like of people that have, electric scooters at their own homes that just explode for whatever reason and think how catastrophic that can be. So it's like, hey, remember everybody, this is just a danger for all of us all the time. Sometimes, like be smart about it.
Yeah, you honestly like we're Brad Rudover and Scuba Jess and I are writing like a book that's coming out, like one of
Okay.
the million cans. um, Recycling, and like, we're writing it about fire safety, and that's one of the things. It's like, there's batteries in every single thing we have, and you
Yeah.
have to, like, if you treat them nicely, they're gonna be fine. But you leave them out in the cold, you leave them in the hot, you throw them around, you take a scooter and you're jumping it on, like, and again, whether it's counterfeit or not, I mean, you damage something hard enough, it's going to explode. And, like, I mean, clearly we're hard on our trash,
Hmm.
right? Like, the word gentle isn't like in our nomenclature on how these
Right.
things get beaten up, but it really is a pretty crazy experience, so.
Well, Ryan, like a good guest, you kind of flowed through all of my script here and kind of covered everything I had to wanted to go over with you today. So if the floor is yours, what else you got to show me? If we still have some time.
I mean, listen, I'm always happy to show. I mean, the one thing I'm proud of, like, our guys. I'm proud of the work that we do, right? I mean, it's
Mhm.
like, this is the one behind my head, but you can actually see the video. But, again, it's one of those things where, like, there's a fire in a scrap metal pile, right? We're gonna come in, we're gonna spray it. We also, like, because it's so many acres, we have different types of solutions, but really the water tower solution, in my mind, is the big game changer, right? So
Mhm.
anytime you have a water tower, instead of somebody going up and literally, like, being in the way, you can spray it. You know what I mean? So you'll see, like, we'll start spraying this, and then we also called them, so our customers bringing their water truck over. So, it's always about layers of protection and making sure that you're protected. And like you said, when an operator, there are best practices, right? Like, you want to have your piles to a certain height. You want to segregate your piles. You want to make sure that you segregate material by different, commodity types, right? Like, there's a lot of things that good operators can do to have less fires, but you know, clearly I mean, there's no operator out there that is not subjected to this. This is inherent in the risk of what we do, and it shouldn't be looked on as a negative per se, as long as it's not consistent and, something that, I mean, yeah, I mean, we all know what a bad operator is, and, like, a good operator is hard to, always harder to see. But
Right.
we have a lot of great operators in this country and other countries for that matter.
It's funny. I was just thinking, like watching the video of the hose shooting there. It almost reminds me of those like carnival games where you shoot the water out of the gun and it shoot and makes the horse run across the track. Like, oh, we could make a little interactive Fire Rover. Like, hey, here it is in action. It's a little
Well,
game.
no, and that's where, like, so we actually have something like that we're working on. So
Oh, cool.
like, because we have that AI, like the one where it's a virtual, like, we created this unit that sits on a Cushman that does
Mhm.
cutting and grinding. Have you seen that?
I have not. No.
Oh, so we call this so FM named it, but they call it the hot work robot.
Okay.
So this drives on a Cushman, and basically, so anyone who's doing cutting or grinding, or, like, we're using it for, like, one of our customers, our hazard material customers, their sprinkler system was down, so we have this in as protection until they get their foam system fixed.
Interesting.
So this will shoot like it's a human being again, right? And so you basically will put a box around the area that you're working on. Any ember that goes outside of it, we're watching to ensure that it doesn't go bad. And then once you're finished, you press the button, it goes into hot or fire watch mode, and we're basically, yeah, on site ready to shoot. I mean, and if something goes wrong, we can shoot this one between 70 and 90 feet. Um, but I mean, and it's from an 8-foot base.
Sure.
But yeah, we built this for one of our large industrial paper clients, and, like, it's taken us like 4 years. They put it, um, they're now using it in lieu of people,
Wow.
right? Like, well, and that's where, like, they still have a shadow on it, but
Right.
normally they were required to have two. Now they're required, the requirement's one, and the goal would be to get it to zero,
Mhm.
and hopefully change that market too.
Yeah. And that's
Yeah.
just extra safety. You don't have to put a person close to a fire. We got the machines to do it.
Well, yeah, and that's where, I mean, just like anything, like, when you talk about water towers, right? Like, why would you put, like, so this is one of the paper recyclers that, we do a lot of outdoor storage, but, when you're looking at it, like, um, why are you sending someone up a tower to spray a manual
Hmm.
nozzle? It just doesn't make any sense when
Right.
we have the ability to do it now. And again, it's not easy to shoot these. And, I mean, a lot of people think the answer is remote control, and we do offer that to some of our customers. But I mean, the reality is that like our team responding, doing all the different things that we deal with in those initial 10 minutes, and the ability to fight numerous fires at once if we need to, is really, you basically save the person from having to be there and put themselves at risk.
I mean, that is a lot of good information, a lot of good innovation. I love seeing it. I like visiting when I get a chance to visit facilities, and I do see the Fire Rover, bundle put aside there or something. So I'm like, okay, this place, they're ahead of the game. They know what's going on. They know how important this is. So it is. As someone who reads news all day long about the waste and recycling industry, I'm tired of seeing fires pop up. So less, if we can do less reported fires or more fires that are just taken out quickly by you guys, I think that's something I want to work towards.
Well, no, and I appreciate it. And again, the waste and recycling industry has been very, very, like we've been blessed by how well they've accepted us. But I
Mm-hmm.
mean, they've also been very hard on us, right? And like no one's letting us through on it. Like no one's letting us skate through, right? Like
Right.
Waste Management or Republic or any of our custom, like I mean, and again, I hope I can say their names, but I mean, I think, a lot of their guys, I mean, people don't make a secret on, when they have us as customers or when they have us as a client, because the reality is that like we are literally their partner
Mm-hmm.
ensuring that they don't have these massive fires. And you know like our guys are doing things that like we used to say in the old days, it was like, I don't want you to worry at 4 in the morning, we'll worry. Well,
Right.
we're worrying all the time. I mean,
Right.
we are literally now, like, I mean, in my wildest dreams, this is our 10-year anniversary, and in my wildest dreams I never thought that I would get like, we'd get one ping and it was like the Ghostbusters, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it was like, what?
Yeah.
Everyone, like,
We got a
everyone,
job.
like, yeah, there's 300 people on it, and like everyone's looking at it, trying to figure it out. And then like literally, like now it's like ding, ding, you know what I mean? You're like, oh shit, okay. Because I mean, I worry every time I get a ding. So like, it was bad enough when we got a ding, if I got 5 dings, a month, but now I'm getting dinged all the time, and it's,
Mm-hmm.
you never grow accustomed to it, right? Like,
Yeah.
I don't like seeing a fire. I don't like seeing catastrophic fires. I mean, that's the last thing. Everyone jokes about it, but I mean, honestly, why would we have our fire department fight a fire that they didn't have to?
Right. Yeah.
That's, and that's the article really this month is all about, like, make sure that your fire department, they don't want to fight your fire, right? They refuse to fight your fire, right? So why should they have to? That was the one from last month, but it's like, I mean, the reality is that the more they know, the better chance you have. And honestly, I'll show you one more video because I'm
Sure.
sure, your guys are probably falling asleep at this point, but
No, I think they're super
um
interested. This is interesting to me. They should, if they're here, they're into it.
well, and this is where, like, so, we have our box units where we shoot 6 to 8 minutes. I mean, and like, but this one is a continuous flow. We do a ton of these. We have over
Mm-hmm.
200, like over 200 facilities where we are the only fire suppression system in a building. And again, like, it's not because of either jurisdiction or an insurance company requires it, but I mean, we do have a lot of variances where we are actually a sprinkler system. We're just an enhanced sprinkler system. But basically, like, what happens, we can see through smoke and we can see through darkness. So when we're fighting a fire, the fire department, when they get there, like, they don't want to fight this, right? They don't want
Right.
to go in here. And by the way, like, they have a thermal, like a thermal handheld, but like,
Mm-hmm.
unless someone is going to say like, hey, there's someone in there that needs saved, they're not going in there. They're
Right.
putting up a 75-foot containment hose or a 50-foot containment hose, like, unless the sprinkler system really does a good job, and they know and they can see through, and they will fight it from the outside, if they think they have a shot at it. But here, they come in and like, we have unlimited water, so we are fighting it the most efficient way possible. So like, we use on average less than 500 gallons of water per incident. And like, we don't have millions of gallons. Like this one here, I think it was like, I believe it was less than 100,000 gallons.
Wow.
And you do have a lot of these facilities that are catastrophic where they are dealing with 1 million to 3 million gallons, right? Like, of water. And the Dunkin' Donuts down the street can't open for a week because they don't have water.
Yep.
So again, I think that's really the direction of why this makes sense. But I think at the end of the day, your fire department knows this, understands it. They're going to come in and copycat what we're doing,
Hmm.
and you get the best result. And again, you get back to work. I mean, most of our customers are back to work within, hours, if not faster, right? So,
Yeah.
I mean,
And
this
that's
is a
important.
major incident.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And getting back to work important because we don't want to see delays and trash pile up, and then then it's the trickle down effect of we're all affected now.
100%. And that's where, and then you have ones like this. My last one, I swear. This is fireworks. So this
Oh
is where I
wow.
always, I always remind people. I'm like, only half of the fires that you're seeing have to do with batteries.
Right.
The other half we've been dealing with for 100 years, right? Like, you've been getting fireworks inside waste recycling facilities 50, 70, 80 years ago, right? Like,
Hmm.
so, and gas cans and propane tanks, and so. I mean, no matter what, even if you get rid of all the batteries, you're not getting rid of the fires and waste and recycling facilities, right? It's just it's
Yeah.
it's a nature of the beast.
Fire predates batteries, so think about it.
A hundred
Ryan,
percent.
Ryan, that'll bring us to the end here. If people want to learn more about Fire Rover or yourself, where can they go? How can they reach out to you?
So I mean, there's a couple ways, right? LinkedIn is always the best. I
Sure.
do have fire safety report that has 11,700 subscribers, so I hope that it's hopefully it's good. I write the monthly article for Waste 360, which again, I have an amazing one coming out, and hopefully, I mean, I'll include this one in it as well. So hopefully, people are reading this and can actually see both.
Yeah.
And then, obviously firerover.com if you want more information. And, our YouTube channel is, the Fire Rover YouTube channel is, um, I do share a lot of frontline videos, and fortunately, my customers allow me some of them. Like they do it for safety. I mean, it's not
Mhm.
just for. I mean, we do learn a lot from all these, and again, that's where it's like there's no competitors that I have that actually share their videos the way that we do. So hopefully that shows that we're actually doing what we say we're going to do. I'm not saying the other guys aren't, but I know we do. That's all I can
Well,
worry about.
Ryan, I think you guys are doing a great job. Thank you for joining me
Thanks,
today.
dude.
Thank you for sharing so much with us, and I look forward to reading your next monthly article and then talking again.
No, it sounds good, Gage. You're the best. I'll talk to you soon.
I want to thank Ryan again for being here today, sharing with us his expertise and his research on fires in the waste and recycling industry. Facility fires are one of those things you can't ignore, and Ryan's work has showed how layered prevention, training, and technology can make the difference between a close call and a catastrophe. And man, we want to bring down those catastrophes, the catastrophicness of fires. We want to level out, get it out. Let's get safer. I mean, fires happening all the time. We really need to do something here. Stamp them out. For those listening, as we mentioned, you can read Ryan's monthly fire reports and learn more about Fire Rover Solutions over at waste360.com and firerover.com. Be sure to visit both. Ryan always has a monthly column on waste360.com, shameless plug, where you can read a lot of his research and his interviews and other findings from the industry. And if you enjoyed this episode of the Waste World Podcast, please be sure to follow us, rate us, subscribe to us, all of the annoying podcasting YouTube things that people have to tell you to do. Please do. It really supports us, and your support helps us bring more voices and insights from across the waste and recycling industry to share their knowledge with you. Share it with me, honestly. I mean, I'm learning all the time on this show. I hope you are too. And if you're getting to the end of this episode and didn't check it out, the YouTube version of this episode has visual aids. There's videos, there's graphs and charts. So check it out. Give us a view there. And follow us on YouTube. As always, remember, it's our world. Let's not waste it. Thanks for listening.